$7 billion public companies built. How does one person repeatedly achieve that kind of scale? Especially turning something like logistics into a growth engine like GXO. Well, that's Brad Jacobs, the force behind GXO Logistics and a string of other industry shaking successes. His achievements aren't just numbers, they are a masterclass in spotting opportunity, aggressive execution, and relentless value creation. The accolades pile up, but the real story is the mindset behind it. Forget theory. This is about the raw mechanics of massive growth. So get ready. You're about to learn the top 10 business lessons from Brad and also his decision making mental models framework. This is Brad Jacobs' playbook. What's the goal? Well, use these insights and apply them directly to your business and venture so that you can create immense success and build your empire. So the first business lesson from Brad is called the problem prospector strategy. Instead of avoiding problems, actively seek out industries, companies, or situations with significant challenges but high potential value, viewing problems as strategic assets rather than liabilities. When creating United Waste Systems, Brad deliberately targeted the waste management industry, focusing on landfill operations in tertiary markets and remote locations and significant challenges. He explained in an interview, the strategy was to go in tertiary markets, often in remote locations, and buy all the landfill capacity, then acquire the collection companies hauling waste to those landfills. Once we bought those companies, we were able to pick up the waste much more efficiently. This problem-focused approach allowed him to consolidate fragmented markets where others saw complexity and difficulty, ultimately creating a company that outperformed the S&P 500 by 5.6 times until its sale to Waste Management in 1997. The lesson here is when there is challenge, chaos, when there is a fragmented industry, a cottage industry, there is also an opportunity there. So don't run away from problems. You got to seek out industries, companies, situations that have significant challenges. Strategy number 2, the strategic arbitrage acquisition method. Focus on industries where you can acquire companies at profit multiples significantly lower than your own company's trading multiple, creating immediate value through financial arbitrage while simultaneously improving operations. At his time at XPO Logistics, Jacobs implemented this strategy by carefully selecting acquisition targets where the valuation gap created immediate value. In his book, he explained the arbitrage between our cost of capital and what multiple we're able to buy companies at is the biggest value creation lever in a roll-up. But let me tell you, he's the roll-up king. Brad Jacobs is the roll-up king. All right. Improving the actual profitability of the business is the second biggest lever. This approach was exemplified when he transformed a small 175 million company into a 13 billion enterprise through strategic acquisitions. In his interview, he detailed how XPO made several transformative acquisitions that changed the scale and scope of the company dramatically, focusing on financial arbitrage opportunities while also improving the actual operations. Acquisitions is one of the fastest way to grow a company. And now if you pull the lever of arbitrage, then it's going to create an immense amount of value right away. But doing a roll-up there's a lot of moving parts when you're doing a roll-up. So you have to be good at executing. Your team members have to be really, really skilled, and they have to buy in into the vision. All right, number 3, the integration velocity. This is a framework. Accelerate acquisition integration using a fast and standardized approach for technical systems while taking a more measured, respect-based approach for human capital integration, creating both operational efficiency and cultural cohesion. So at XPO Logistics, Brad implemented a two-speed integration approach across 18 acquisitions completed. As he described, on some aspects of integration, you want to be gentle, but on integrating technology platforms, you want to rip off the band-aid because you're not functioning at a full level until then. He elaborated that they quickly standardized ERP, CRM, and HR systems while taking a more measured approach with people. The team would immediately reach out to the new organization asking 3 questions. Now, write down these 3 questions. If you are on your phone, if you stop and pause, because these are very important questions. All right. The questions are, what are you doing that we would be crazy to change? What are you doing that's not so great that we should change? And then the last one is, what's your best idea to improve the company? This approach resulted in successful integration of diverse companies while preserving their valuable cultural elements and gaining employee buy-in. Now, when I was on the process of buying a company, one of the things that I've noticed, because I was buying mom and pop's business, and most of them did not have the tech integrated into their business. They didn't have a standardized ERP, a good CRM. They didn't, when it comes to the payment systems, they were very outdated. So I knew when I bought the company, there was also a value add right away. And one of the things I did also when I was in the due diligence process was talk to the key management so that I would ask them questions like these to get a better understanding of that person, the staff's opinion of the business, things that are doing well, things that are not doing well. And when I spoke to them and I told them that, hey, look, that's definitely a great idea. This is something that we can do, we can implement. It makes them feel like they're heard. The staff, the key personnel, it makes them feel like, okay, now I'm involved in the business. I'm not just an employee. I am somebody that's contributing. And when people feel like that, when people feel like they are valued and recognized, then it's easier for them to buy in. And it's a better environment and a culture to create when people have that type of emotion, and you can also make them feel valued and recognized. All right. Strategy number 4, the quadrant bingo. So we were talking about the acquisition process, and this is the deal selection when it comes the deal criteria. Categorize potential deals into a 2x2 matrix, size, big or small, and risk low high. Then deliberately target the big hairy quadrant, large opportunities with significant but solvable problems that others avoid. When building United Rentals into the largest construction equipment rental company in the world, Jacobs applied this framework to acquisition selections. He quoted in his book, and if you haven't read his book, I highly suggest that you read his book. Okay, it says, a fellow CEO laid this out for me graphically once we were talking about M&A deals. Think of M&A as having 4 quadrants defined by size and risk. Big, low-risk deals are some of the ones everyone wants, but they don't exist. Small, low-risk deals do exist, but you can't make much money from them because of their size. Small, hairy deals are the worst quadrant because the reward is limited and the odds are stacked against you. So why bother? The bingo quadrant is the big, hairy deals. If you can find a big, hairy deal with solvable problems, that's where the real money is. This approach guided the United Rentals' $250 50 plus acquisitions, which helped transform into the 6th best performing Fortune 500 stock of the decade, with investors making more than 100 times their money. Everybody wins. So now you have the blueprint. Now you have the formula for the quadrant bingo when it comes to deal selection. The dual growth engine, strategy number 5. Wow, we're halfway there with the strategies, and it's all golden nuggets. It's all valuable information. If you're liking it so far, hit a like, hit a subscribe, and let's continue. The dual growth engine approach: simultaneously pursue both acquisitive growth, which is roll up, and organic expansion, which is roll out strategies. Recognizing that strategic greenfield development can often deliver high returns on invested capital than acquisitions alone. So at United Rentals, Jacobs implemented this dual focus growth strategy with remarkable success. He explained in an interview that United Rentals was both a roll up and a roll out. What I mean is that people pay attention to the 250 or so acquisitions we did, but where we really made money was on the roll out, opening hundreds of greenfield locations. We made much higher ROIC, return on invested capital. That's what it means, on the rollout than the roll up, because the invested capital was much lower. This balanced approach of both buying existing business and organically expanding into new territories allowed United Rentals to grow exponentially, becoming the largest construction equipment rental company in the world in just 13 months. Wow, that is an incredible feat, okay? In 13 months, they became the largest construction equipment rental company. And how did he do that? By doing this, having a roll-up strategy and a roll-out strategy. Finding your business where you can apply a roll-up strategy and a roll-out strategy. You're going to have an amazing growth if you apply that. 6, the talent magnet management system. Create a hiring and management philosophy focused on identifying A players who are smarter than yourself. And that is one of the hurdles that a lot of people need to get over, is hiring people smarter than themselves, okay? Overpaying them relative to the market, quote unquote overpaying, but you can never overpay for A players. I'm gonna say that again. You can never overpay for A players. And designing a culture that attracts and retains exceptional talent while systematically removing underperformers. You need to have a system. Every great organization has a system that attracts and retains exceptional talent. What is your system for that? If you want to be in a great organization, what is your system to attract and retain those talents? At XPO Logistics, Jacobs built a management team with deliberately diverse backgrounds but shared leadership qualities. In this interview, he explained that they're super honest and possess integrity. Those are the qualities, 2 amazing qualities to have and to build around. They're also extremely hardworking. All 3 are married to the business, and they're very intelligent. I like to hire people who are smarter than me. This approach allowed him to develop successors from within, including Mario Hadek, who was the only 3rd person hired at XPO, Malcolm Wilson to run GXO, and Drew Wilkerson to run RXO. Jacobs' focus on exceptional talent enabled the complex spin-offs of GXO and RXO, creating 3 successful public companies from what was originally one organization. All right. Number 7, organizational anthropologist feedback system. Implementing systematic multi-channel feedback mechanism that treat employees as insiders with unique knowledge and insights, regularly soliciting actionable intelligence to improve the company while enhancing employee engagement. At XPO Logistics, Jacobs implemented an innovative feedback system that went beyond traditional surveys. As he described in his interview, we're constantly soliciting feedback from the organization. We send out electronic surveys to everyone who has an email. We just ask a few simple questions, such as, what's your level of job satisfaction on a scale of 1 to 10? We ask, what's your single best idea to improve the company? Again, we get tons of great ideas. Sometimes we ask another question. What's the silliest thing that the company is doing? That's an important question to ask too, because inevitably we find out we're all doing dumb stuff. It's very actionable intelligence. This approach was especially valuable during acquisitions, where Jacob's team would immediately engage with employees of acquired companies to learn what made them successful. So you need to have a feedback system in your organization. And let me ask you a question. What's your feedback system for your body? And today I'm going to be talking about a story. And this has improved my health dramatically. So there is a general advice when it comes to health, food, and food recommendation. I was told that, I'm a person that works out a lot. I eat the right food. I make sure I get good sleep. In order for me to perform, I need to be in the best shape of my life to dominate and to conquer. And the general advice that I was told from a dietitian was, hey, eat brown rice and spinach. They are good for you. So I started eating brown rice and spinach. After a few weeks, I noticed that my skin was starting to develop rashes. My joints started to hurt. I was feeling like I had low energy. And I wondered what was going on. I was eating quote unquote healthy foods. But the problem was, it was not the right food for me. I came across a company called Viome. And Viome, what they do is they collect a sample. And from that, they send it to their lab. Then it will give you food recommendation, supplement recommendation on what is going on in your gut, and will give you 4 categories: avoid food, minimize food, superfood, and enjoy food. So after I did that test, I followed their recommendation. And it turns out that my avoid food was spinach and brown rice. And I was told that spinach and brown rice is healthy, but it wasn't healthy for me and based on what's going on in my gut. So I followed the recommendation. I only ate my enjoy food and superfood, and I have a before and after picture of my skin rashes, and it improved. My joints felt better. I had more energy. And then I started recommending it to my friends and family. And now I'm recommending it to you because you are now part of the family. And my sister had acne issues. And when she ate the recommended foods from Viome, her skin also got better. So if health is very important to you, if you want to have more energy, improve your joints, and figure out what's going on in your gut, this is a feedback system for your food, for your gut, for your health. And if you're interested, it's in the description. Click that link below and it will take you to Viome, a product that I love, that I use, and that I recommend. All right. So, number 8, the strategic scalpel divestiture approach. View divesting asset and spinning off business as valuable strategic tools rather than failures. Systematically evaluating your portfolio to determine when selling or spinning off parts of the business can create more shareholder value than keeping them. At XPO Logistics, Brad demonstrated this approach by strategically spinning off two major divisions as separate public companies: the GXO Logistics, Contract Logistics, and RXO, Freight Transportation. He said in the interview, the primary purpose of a senior leadership team is to create shareholder value. Sometimes the way for us to do that was buying companies. Other times it was to sell off parts of the companies we bought, or even entire companies after we improved them and they no longer fit into the strategy. Sometimes it would spin off parts of the company, as we did with GXO last year and are doing it with RXO this year. This approach allowed XPO to become the 7th best performing stock of the last decade in the Fortune 500, as each business could better focus on its core operations and attract investors interested in specific segments. If you can identify undervaluing assets and you can divest those assets, then you have now created a great organization out of thin air. And when I was working in private equity, that's one of the tasks that I did, which was when we bought a company, look at assets and how can we turn those assets into another assets, cash flowing assets, their own entity assets, right? And it's another strategy that will create an immense amount of value to the shareholders, and it will create a lot of enterprise value to the CEO. So, man, his strategies are very, very powerful. All right, number 9, the future-proofing futurist method. Systematically analyze industry trends and technological developments to identify both opportunities and threats, positioning your business to capitalize on emerging patterns rather than just being disrupted by them. When evaluating industries for investment, Jacobs places extraordinary emphasis on understanding future trends, as quoted in his book, Be a Futurist, and figure out the bullish and bearish trends driving your industry. If you get the major trends right, you can make mistakes and still succeed. This approach was evident when he entered the logistics industry with XPO, recognizing the transformative potential of technology. As early as 2011, when he hired Mario as one of his first employees, they shared a vision of automating brokerage and replacing human involvement with technology. This forward-looking strategy allowed XPO to develop technological capabilities that gave them competitive advantages in the rapidly evolving logistics space. And the last one, the Curiosity Compass Leadership Philosophy. I'm going to make this a 2-part because his mental models, decision-making framework is another podcast on its own. Maintain perpetual intellectual humility and curiosity regardless of success level, positioning yourself as a lifelong student of business rather than an expert, constantly learning and adapting to new information. Despite his extraordinary success across multiple industries, Jacobs maintains a learning mindset that has been crucial to his ability to enter and master different sectors. In his interview, he said, I'm going to zero in on curiosity. You never want to get to the point, no matter how old you are, where you think that you know it all. I consider myself a student and I'm always learning. There's so much to learn. I've been doing this since I was 23 and I'm 66 now. As a CEO of many companies during that time, I've never mastered any industry, so you must stay very alert and humble to it. This approach allowed him to successfully enter and disrupt industries ranging from waste management to equipment rental logistics, despite having no prior experience in these sectors when he started. So that is his 10 business strategies that he used to build his empire. And if you like this video, I comment down below what you like, what are your thoughts, give me some feedback. I'm always open to feedback. Share on X, share on social media. And on my next video, stay tuned because I'm going to be going over his decision-making frameworks when it comes to core principles, value creation, problem seeking, when it comes to his approach for mistakes or failures, his leadership style, his innovation tactics, financial strategy, and so much more. So stay tuned for that one. I'm excited to release that one. It's going to be a game changer. It's going to be full of insightful information. So subscribe if you don't want to miss that episode. So I hope you have a wonderful day. Go out there, build your empire, and stay tuned for the next one. Hit the bell so you don't miss my next episode podcast. Peace.